Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to the COVID Cast 31. I am your host, Rick Richards. I'll be here with you all week and beyond. Could be months, it looks like. This was a temporary project, could be going on months. Monday mornings don't have quite the same feel as they used to, do they? Not quite the same feel. Nevertheless, Mondays are always a time for optimism. So welcome. Welcome, April 6th, 2020. Out here in the isolation chamber, feeling good, feeling mentally okay, feeling fit, feeling lean and mean and ready for new challenges. We got the sun out. One day I'm going to tilt this so you guys can see the picturesque view I have from the isolation chamber. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. So, what do we have going on today? Well, first, note from the sponsor. You guys may notice no artwork behind me today. I figured, you know what? I have been doing one show a day for a while now, but I figured let's do two today. I'm feeling energetic. Maybe I've gotten through the worst of the quarantine effects and I'm starting to feel good, starting to come through the other side. So I thought, you know what? Let's do it raw today. Let's go bareback on this show. Let's strip everything out. T-shirt. That's it, man. All right. The show, of course, is brought to you by Athletic Alliance Advanced Nootropic. Sorry if I'm spamming. Sorry for promoting the show. I've only lost, 80% of my income? Sorry, guys. I did have some unpleasant comments on promoting stuff, but hey, take a hike, man. Sorry. Speaking of promoting, Athletic Alliance, HydroPro, hydrolyzed whey isolate, a very, very top quality protein. Okay, hydrolyzed whey means that you digest it instantly, higher absorption, instant anabolic effect, and it's much easier on your digestion. A lot of people have problems digesting lactose. Not the case with people who are lactose intolerant. Not the case with hydrolyzed HydroPro. Also, it is a prepper's dream. If you're a prepper, if you're somebody that's into hoarding, this might be the best option for you. 2-year shelf life, more than 30 grams of protein per scoop, high quality. You got that, you got some ramen noodles, stack of toilet paper, you're set, right? Although there have been many problems with the hoarding, right? Many problems. And next week, I think we're going to give away some of this. But right now you can get it at GNC for $10 and right across Canada, just any Athletic Alliance product. There are a lot of GNCs that are open and you can get the HydroPro for $10. But hoarding has been a problem. Hoarding has been a big problem of all things toilet paper. I mean, you know, I actually did a show on toilet paper and why you don't need to hoard it. And the reason you don't need to hoard it is that toilet paper is what's considered inelastic. And what does that mean? What does that mean? And don't worry, I'll get to the shout outs. I know people love the shout outs, but inelastic means that the usage is not going to change dramatically, right? You know, something like this, the usage could change dramatically. It's got an elastic demand. Awareness, availability, trends, all this stuff will spike the usage or diminish the usage. Not so with toilet paper. Nevertheless, people have still gone out and they have been hoarding toilet paper. It's impossible to find now. Impossible. But it is possible for you if you are viewing this show because I am giving this away to one of our faithful viewers. So starting today, I will be giving away by next week a 12-pack. Do they call them 12 packs or do they call them bundles? A 12-pack of Cottonelle Superior Clean Ultra Comfort Care 2-ply toilet paper. And look, it's even panda friendly, whatever that means. So it's funny, I'm looking at this and a lot of stuff I never realized that they advertise on toilet paper before. Our softest and most absorbent, comfort care, cleaning ripples. Like, do people really look for this stuff when they buy toilet paper? I just look at the size of it and the price and then throw it in the cart and off we go. But yeah, I realize a lot of our faithful viewers are having trouble securing toilet paper right now. So don't fear. And I don't have this because I was hoarding it. I simply have this because our office is now empty. And we had this in the office. It's empty. And I thought, hey, you know what? I could be a greedy grabbler and take this home and sit on the stash, literally sit on it. But no, let's give it out to you guys. So the parameters of the contest. You must subscribe to the Rick Richards YouTube channel. That is parameter number 1. You must like and share the videos. Like and share, even if it's just for this contest. Let people know that we're doing this. We're giving it away, giving back. And in the comments, give us a little bit of information about yourself. Either share your current situation, share how you're dealing with quarantine or isolation, or if nothing at all has changed for you. I'd like to hear that. I'd like to hear some stuff in the comments. Do that, and you can win a 12-pack of 2-ply. And I will send it to you. I will mail it at my cost, or deliver it, or whatever. I will get it into your eager, clutching hands. So yes, all week I'm going to be showing this. We're going to be giving away a 12-pack of toilet paper. All right, big shows coming up. Tonight, we are going to do 50 years of bullshit. All the media hypes and scares that have turned into nothing or, in fact, the complete opposite. That is tonight. Sometime this week, I am going to be interviewing the Richards kids. We're going to talk to them about some of the disappointments and the challenges that kids have to go through in times like this. Should be interesting. I'm going to have to find a way to excite them and get them to talk because, sometimes kids clam up when the camera's on. They're all jabbering away, and then you ask them a question, and they're like, I don't know. So we'll see. There will be no tolerance for that. Shoutouts. Shoutouts to Jixer. My boy Jixer. Shoutouts to Jackson. Shout out to Terry McLean. Shout out to Shrinkage is Real. Charlene. Monica. I like the comments, Monica. You're in there. You're in there for the toilet paper if you want it. My old mammy, Tammy, Tanya, Kim, Grace, producer Dave Darnley and his puppy Odell, Dan Dix, Tim the Bot. Oh, who am I forgetting? Somebody always gives me shit for forgetting someone. Special friend of the show, Lisa. All right, Lisa. Lisa, I'll be watching for your subscription and your comments. I'm sure you want that toilet paper. I'm going to make it happen for you, okay? So let's get on to the events of the day or the news of the day. By the way, many times you guys have seen some of my predictions, right? Who called it on China, right? That was me. I said that was going to happen. I called it on the surveillance. I called it on, I don't know, quite a few different things, right? And much of it is coming to pass, and I'm seeing it in newspapers now, seeing it in the media, and I mean, it's pretty surprising, right? Okay, so I just gotta, you know what? I am. Okay, here we go. We should be okay now. All right, let's get our update here. The coronavirus worldwide, there are 1,312,286 cases, 72,596 deaths, and 275,000 recovered. Sophie Trudeau, if you're wondering, has recovered. Boris Johnson has gone into the hospital. As of, I believe it was yesterday, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was admitted to a hospital. And kind of ironic, don't you think? I mean, Boris Johnson's government came out and said, hey, we're going to develop herd immunity for this right off the bat. And some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm prepared to make. Well, that came back to bite him in the ass, didn't it? And of course, they've done a complete 180 on this, and they're going the opposite direction now. But I just thought that was interesting that him, of all people, would get it. So, okay, where are we here? So, the U.S. has 350,000 cases now. That is quite a bit. That's a third of all the cases in the world, actually. Maybe a fourth, maybe a quarter. But still, nevertheless, a quarter is quite a bit. You may have seen from my interview with Angela last night, there are positive signs in the U.S. I mean, of the U.S., a third of the cases. So 10% of the global cases actually are in New York. And there seems to be some flattening of the curve there. So that is very good news. Italy, the death count is still dropping. I mean, it's still fairly high at 600 a day. That's quite a bit. Total deaths, 16,000. And there's just under 4,000 people in serious or critical condition. So that is, again, I got to tell you, this is fairly good news, right? Because it means that the fatalities are slowing down. And when Ontario says that they're going to have between 5 and 15,000 deaths, I find that very unlikely. I find that very, very unlikely, simply because Ontario is a population of 13, 14 million, maybe 15 million. Italy is a country with 55 million people, right? So it's nearly 4 times as large as Ontario. Italy did absolutely idiotic things in the beginning. They decided to start a feel-good virtue signaling, hug someone from China campaign in the beginning. And of course, that was at a time when, there was not a lot of awareness. They had people coming in directly from Wuhan, so the infection was boom, right in. Italy has different cultural practices from Toronto, although Toronto has a lot of Italians and a lot of people from all over the world. So I don't know what you would even consider cultural practices in Ontario, but nevertheless, Italy, kissing and hugging and group meals and stuff like that. So I would be very, very shocked if Ontario actually has numbers similar to that. So Italy, I mean, in all likelihood, they're probably going to see about 20,000 fatalities out of this, but it definitely is slowing down, as is Spain. Spain only 500. That's down from their peak, which was close to 1,000 at one point, just maybe a week ago. Even the UK looks like it's slowing down a little bit. So I think Netherlands as well. I mean, the Netherlands, they even got a late start, and then it kind of roared out of the gate, and now it looks like they've got it under control. Sweden has taken a hands-off approach for the most part. They haven't actually shut down any businesses. They are practicing social distancing, so they've kind of taken a middle-of-the-road approach, which would have been my suggestion. My suggestion from the get-go would be quarantine those over the age of 65, practice social distancing in workplaces, allow people that can work from home to work from home, and I think that would have done the job. I think we overreacted, in all honesty. But you know what? And I've been saying this since the beginning. Okay, so however, let me be clear. I'm not one of these people that that thinks this is just the flu, or that it's not real, or that it's a hoax, or that it was a government trick. I mean, listen, here's the thing. I know our governments lie to us constantly. So, I mean, I think the natural tendency is not to believe just about everything they pull out. But here are some things you have to consider. You have to consider some of the actions. Let's start with Donald Trump. Donald Trump does not want this, right? He is not benefiting at all. That guy has 7 hotels. Do you think he wants 7 of his hotels shut down? Like, financial, do you think Donald Trump pays attention to his finances? Yes, he does. Very, very closely. and he is getting massacred. Hotels and restaurants, in terms of businesses being affected, hotels and restaurants are at the very front line. It would be them and anything tourism related. They're at the very front of taking the fiscal brunt. So that's hurting Donald Trump. So he's not behind it, right? Same with Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau, I mean, that guy wants the borders open. The entire economy could be collapsing around him, and he would still want the borders open. He would still be tweeting out to asylum seekers and refugees, come on in, we are here for you, right? And he's closed the borders. So that tells you that he doesn't want it. I mean, for him to do that, the first government to close the borders in Canada was Justin Trudeau. I mean, the irony of that blows your mind, right? So that's how you know that these guys weren't behind it. And both of them could end up losing their job as a result. I mean, Trudeau's in a precarious situation right from the start. He's in a minority government, and he has put in some sneaky measures, that were stopped. Thankfully that there is a strong enough opposition that they didn't just fold over him. By the way, Jagmeet Singh from the NDP, you folded over, you bent over. They were going to jam all that stuff through. And you said, okay, sir, what should I do? Shall I unzip my pants and bend over here? That will not be forgotten, my friend. That will not be forgotten. And Scheer, as much as I dislike Andrew Scheer, he stood up and he put a stop to them. So that's +1 for you, Mr. Scheer. But yeah, the thing is, governments are going to lose their jobs. Recessions typically result in regime changes. I'll go into a whole thing on that at some point. But I mean, I just, if there's anybody that thinks that this was engineered from the get-go, that's almost impossible. But that doesn't mean that there's not opportunists, and that doesn't mean that governments and individuals and companies and whatever are not going to try to take advantage of this situation. That for sure will happen. That always happens. So let's finish off with Canada here. So we go to global. Oh, what's their lead story? Winnipeg man makes Lego version of PM Justin Trudeau's message to kids about COVID-19. Great job, global. Good to see you're on the case, guys. Good to see that you're communicating the things that really matter. All right, so Canada. Let's go through this, get straight into it. As of April 6th, there are 15,790 confirmed cases of COVID-19, according to Health Canada. Ontario announced 390 new cases on Monday morning. That's bringing the provincial total to 4,347, 13 new deaths. So Ontario is going through the storm right now. Ontario is definitely going through the storm right now. And one thing that really needs to be investigated is why there is such a different profile from British Columbia to Ontario and Quebec. Like British Columbia and Alberta have a very similar profile, right? Similar amount of cases. Alberta actually surprisingly has a few more. Fairly similar amount of fatalities. Much more people have recovered in BC, and I mean, I think it was here first, so that makes sense. But then we come down to Ontario and Quebec, and BC and Alberta have a population equivalent to Ontario and Quebec, or equivalent to Quebec. BC still has an airport open to receive people from around the world, expats that are coming back, I suppose. Quebec still is. So, I mean, there's a lot of similarities. We look at, there's 3 major urban centers in BC and Alberta, being Vancouver. Well, I mean, Vancouver is like huge with Greater Vancouver, but Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton. 2 urban centers in Quebec, in Montreal and Quebec City. But we see such a disparity in numbers. More fatalities, way fewer recoveries, and nearly 8,000 cases triple the cases in Quebec as we have in BC. So those are some interesting things that need to be investigated. We're up to close to 300 deaths in Canada, but here is the confirmed cases. These are total confirmed cases, cumulative. And what's this? What is this you see? This looks like a curve that is flattening, right? So the curve is flattening. So we should definitely be seeing a light at the end of the tunnel on this, right? This is the time for politicians to say, okay, we are seeing some positive results. Let's maintain this for another couple of weeks just to cement those results. And then let's start working now on our back to work plan. Let's put a plan in place to get back to work. What are the things we have to be very careful of? Actually, you know what? I won't digress anymore. I've gone on long enough about some of this stuff. New cases confirmed by day. I'm not quite sure what that means. 340 new cases, 15. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we'll see. This looks a little too early to call a trend now. I mean, this seems kind of strange that it would be this low for April 6th. Well, I guess because it's early in the day. So they must be tabulating this as the day goes on. So let's disregard that. And cumulatively, this is where we are. The curve is definitely flattening. All right, so let's get into the remainder of the program. And we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive, not a huge deep dive, but a bit of a deeper dive just into the economy at large, because I think we're turning the corner on the virus. All the worst places have leveled off or plateaued. We're not out of the woods yet, but I think we're turning the corner. Now we're going to have to deal with some bigger and more extensive problems, and that would be the economy, right? So what are we seeing? What are we seeing? Gas prices continue to drop across the United States, and demand has not been this low since 1993. So gas prices at the pump continue to decline across the United States, partly in response to the increasing public health, financial, and economic impact of COVID-19, but also due to a fallout between the two of the world's largest oil producers, Saudi Arabia and Russia. And if you would like to go back and see, I can't remember which COVID cast it was, but it was entitled Gas War. I did a deep dive into the falling gas prices, why they were happening, where they stood at the time. So demand has dropped and supply has gone through the roof. That we know. And it's having a global effect on prices. Ontario, 60 cents at Petro-Canada, 67.9 at Costco, 68.9. Now, it should be interesting to note, gas prices were here about 2 weeks ago, and the price of oil has continued to drop, but gas prices seem to have remained the same. So I think there may be some fuckery going on there. Sorry, I promised my mom I wouldn't swear so much. I think there may be some trickery going on in Ontario to keep these prices where they're at. Either profitability or there's maybe something else has been jammed in there. But yeah, so those prices, even though the price of oil has dropped, gas prices have not dropped. BC now, where we famously have the highest priced gas in in any of the provinces, the 10 provinces, it is right around $1. I have seen $1.01. I have seen 99. Filled up yesterday at 98.9. So it's right around there. This came out today. So if you are one of those people that has gotten screwed by the whole COVID-19 shutdown, this could be something for you. So there's support for individuals, support for businesses, support for industries. You just have to go to canada.ca English if you speak English. And if you don't speak English, why would you be watching this? So there's increasing of a child benefit. There's goods and service tax credit payment. There's extra time to file income tax returns, mortgage support. I don't know what mortgage support is, but I would like to see the banks doing their share. People facing unemployment. We now have a Canada Emergency Response Benefit. You can apply for employment insurance if that business is down for good. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like a slowdown is fine, but fixed expenses remain, like rent and stuff like that. And if you're doing, say, 20-25% of your previous sales, you can't keep anybody on. You can't just keep people on at 20% because it doesn't work that way. People who are sick in quarantine can get the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. Improved access to employment insurance, sickness benefits. People who are unable to work, Indigenous people. If you're Indigenous, you probably get more. People who need it most, seniors, Canada Emergency Response Benefit. Reduced minimum withdrawals for registered retirement income funds. So they got a lot of shit here. So I am going to give, for the way this is laid out and the quickness of it, from what I've seen so far, I'm going to give them a thumbs up because it looks fairly comprehensive. I mean, it has taken a while to get this put together. It does look fairly comprehensive. I have not been through the process of it though. It's just come up today. And I'll be going through support for business, support for self-employed individuals. I'll go through this and I'll see what the process is. So I'm giving it a middle of the road thumbs. We'll see how it is, right? I've given my thoughts on this before on what should be done. And, I think right now, I think the time is they were slow on this. They should have gotten this out quicker. The US last week sent $1,200, I think, to every person in the United States that's filed a tax return. And they have 320 million people in that country, and they've already got this done, right? So we're moving slower than them, but maybe this is better and maybe this is more comprehensive. I will reserve judgment, okay? And here we see the global effects. The global effects now, right? 1 million Bangladeshi garment workers lose jobs amid COVID-19 economic fallout. Well, why am I concerning myself with what's going on in Bangladesh? Well, because we have to, right? We have such an interlinked global economy now that whatever happens in one place happens in another. So if 1 million Bangladeshi garment workers lose their jobs, well, that is going to be 1 million people that are getting less raw materials. Maybe we ship stuff to them to use for these things. Maybe we ship food to them. I don't know. I don't really know the workings of the Bangladeshi economy. Here's one thing that surprised me though. Bangladesh has a population of 160 million. Holy shit. Bangladesh, 160 million? Wow. So they've got more than four times the population of Canada in a country that, as far as I know, is like just a set of mountains next to India. Anyways, I was kind of surprised. That's just a little kind of, Anyways, they have a huge garment industry over there, and now they will definitely be plunging into a recession as a result. So not good news for Bangladesh and anybody that is connected to Bangladesh, which I imagine will be a lot of places. And before we go, here's an interesting article I came across. There is a genetic component to predicting your chance of success by Jacob Ward. And what's interesting about this is Jacob Ward, he actually set out to show that that it was the opposite. Like his intention was to show that, success is just a matter of opportunities and privilege or lack thereof, and all this sort of stuff. And the further he got into it, the more he had to keep saying, yeah, I guess that's not so much the case. So there is a big genetic component into whether or not you will be successful. In 1999, a trio of economists emerged from a conference at the University of California, Los Angeles. This is from the New York Times, by the way. Squinting without sunglasses in the unfamiliar sun, they began a slow walk through the hills overlooking the city. The three of them, a Harvard economist in training, Daniel Benjamin, and Harvard economist Edward Glaser and David Leibson, were reeling. They had just learned about a new field, neuroeconomics, which applies economic analysis to brain science in an effort to understand human choices. Now they were strolling through the taxonomy of midday joggers and dog walkers in Los Angeles, talking blah, 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 blah. Benjamin recalls feeling very out of place. Everyone was so beautiful. Wow, you may have a self-esteem problem there, buddy. Walking in Los Angeles and feeling out of place because everyone was so beautiful. That's kind of a shitty way to feel. They were discussing measures of the wide variety of human beings, and they began to discuss the building blocks of life. If economists are studying the brain, Leibson asked, what about studying genes? So they studied specific DNA clusters, and geneticists, they found that geneticists, when they began writing to the keepers of DNA databases, and DNA they've been databasing DNA and sequencing DNA for about, I guess, 25 years now. They found geneticists were reluctant to join forces, and matching DNA to social outcomes like educational attainment or wealth wasn't just ethically questionable, it was practically impossible. So here you go. Now we start to get into political issues, right? See, this is why you have to be somewhat skeptical of science, right? And it's not the science or the process itself necessarily, but it's the interpretation and the dissemination and the distribution of information. Scientists were reluctant to share information because of the political ramifications. So it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It doesn't matter if we can help understand things. They don't want to go down that road because it's politically, it's not good for their career, I guess, or something along those lines, right? But suffice to say, if you believe that people evolve or animals, well, let's even back it up from there. There is a reason that polar bears have white fur. What would that reason be? Well, they're in a mostly white, snow, ice-covered environment. And so it's sensible for them not only to have fur in the first place to keep warm, but to have white fur to blend into their environment and give them some practical advantages, right? Same with lizards. You don't see lizards with fur, do you? Lizards typically match the surroundings. I mean, a chameleon changes depending on the surrounding that he's in, right? These are very obvious, basic things. So if nature works so that physically we adapt to certain environments in order to succeed in those environments, would it not make sense that mentally, psychologically, genetically, our behaviors are adapting as well? I mean, that seems pretty much common sense to me. Intelligence, there are IQ tests, of course, but intelligence is multifaceted and it applies itself in different ways. And scoring well on an IQ test may not necessarily help you in some other situations, but biologically evolving to adapt to those certain situations will help. So whenever people get into a discussion over superiority, like you hear terms of white supremacist or even black supremacist or Jewish supremacist, I think that's a non-starter because there is nothing is really superior. Things are simply more specifically adapted. Is a polar bear superior to a brown bear? In the north, I guess he is, right? I guess he's better suited. Farther south in the forest, I guess he's not. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, you can't, there is no superior. There is just specific adaptations that take place. And these guys have found that there are genetic determinants to success. And that would seem fairly obvious to me. It would seem fairly obvious that if you are more intelligent and more socially intelligent, that's another thing that doesn't get discussed as well. If you have evolved, I mean, you can have, say, an IQ of 160, and if you're just you hate making eye contact with people and you're buried in numbers all the time, then that's not really going to help you be successful, is it? You may be able to be successful in one very narrowly defined field, but social intelligence is another thing that's very underlooked. You know, reading people, connecting with people, networking, all of those things. So there's a wide range of things that are largely genetically determined. Maybe not completely, of course, but largely genetically determined. These guys have found that out, and I just thought that was an interesting development. So I will leave it on that thought-provoking point, and I will talk to you guys tonight. I'm back with the show tonight, and tonight's show is going to be on the media. So until next time, remember, if we stick together, can't nobody stand against us.